Hello and welcome back, guys. I've been playing a bit of nonsense recently. I just got off the tail end of playing some green-white amulet list with Karn and Elder Army's Call and all that stuff. And if that's something that you're interested in, then go ahead and check out the previous league. There should be a link in the description below. But I decided it's about time to return to something a little more normal, a little more tuned, perhaps. And I can't necessarily say for certain that this list is tuned. In fact, I'm still trying new things. I was just considering whether or not Negate should be in the sideboard here at all or not. There's not a whole lot of Belcher or Ad Nauseam or that sort of strategy showing up recently, but perhaps Negate will be good against these Cryptic Command, sort of like Uro control shells. It's not quite as good against the Saheeli combo that I've been seeing more frequently in these Omnath decks, so we'll have to see exactly how things shape up here, but regardless, we're here. Again, as I have said in the past, going for the throat. We're trying to make as much value as we can off of this league, hopefully aiming for the 5-0. We'll see. No promises here. That said, the list that you see in front of you is what I would consider to be the most competitive. I was very, very tempted to play Karn, the Great Creator, again, as it is so much fun to play, but at the same time, I want to make sure I'm making a variety of types of content on my channel, some more spiky lists, and some lists that are more for enjoyment, and despite the fact that I enjoy playing any kind of Primeval Titan, Amulet of Vigor shell, I wanted to give something a little more serious a try, and so we're cutting the Karns and all of the craziness, and we're just going for straight Primeval Titans. So, the only significant changes about the list that you see in front of the both of us, or however many people might be watching on your side, I don't know, you could be watching in a room of people. I sort of doubt that, but it is possible. Regardless, the only different change here is that we have access to a full 3 engineered explosives in the main and sideboard, so in the 75, 1 in the main board, 2 in the sideboard here. And the reason for that is if everybody and their best friend is playing Monastery Swift Spears and Death Shadows and Scourge of the Skyclaves, I most certainly want to be playing engineered explosives to punish them. Explosives tends to be quite good recently, and I've seen several placing lists with as many as 2 or 3 engineered explosives. Sometimes there's one in the main, sometimes they're all in the sideboard. Regardless, we're doing that today to see how it goes. I actually have a pretty big expectation for explosives here. I'm thinking that it might be quite good, so we'll see if that is how things pan out here. Regardless, that's enough talking. I will see you guys in the games. Alright, we have a match. Judging by the fact that it's not giving me some notification, I have to assume we're on the draw here, and we are. Not the best. Speaking of not the best, this hand is not really exciting to me. Yeah, we'll mulligan. We can get something a little faster, or a little slower. We'll mulligan again. This hand is kind of ridiculous, but you know what? We'll try it. We'll keep this, and we'll ship 1 Grazer. I mean, I suppose we could go turn 1 Amulet, turn 2 Explorer. That might be better than going turn 1 Grazer, turn 2 Explorer. Shipping Grazer is going to be so bad if our opponent's playing something aggressive here, though. We need the redraws from this Explorer to dig us out of this, though, I think. I don't think we can afford to keep Grazer. We'll just have to hope that we can top deck 3-drop in Bounce Land and Titan or something like that if our opponent is playing something aggressive. So, see, snow-covered plains with no art whatsoever. Who needs it? Who needs the art? Pass it back. Actually, in all honesty, despite the fact that I am joking here, it actually really annoys me that there's no art. Alright. Oh, stopped on our opponent's upkeep and draw step? What the heck? I don't think we need that. Get rid of that. That's gone. Not even near here. Ooh, Misty Rainforest. So are we playing against a Bant, some sort of control deck, perhaps? Well, we're definitely throwing out our Explorer. Here it goes. Does it resolve? Maybe, maybe not. Looks like maybe not. Explorer is much better against a slow, grindy strategy here than Grazer, so based on the matchup, assuming that this is some sort of controlling opponent, looks like this is going to be to our benefit here. Are we going to see a counterspell on this Explorer? Remand, Mana Leak, Aether Gust, main board, Aether Gust. Do we want to draw this Explorer? We sort of do. If our first Explorer resolves next turn, then we can explore once again. So, let's just redraw that one. Our opponent has Misty Rainforest in combination with the 3 colors they already have in play. Yep, so this is going to be an Omnath Soup build. Renin 6. Okay. The question is, do we put them on Saheeli or not? There's no way to know for certain, and they didn't leave up any interaction, so our Explorers are good to go here. Let's just go ahead and play this out on Giant. And we'll see what we can hit off the top here. Alright, so a bounce land is a pretty decent pickup. Not going to complain about that one. Titan. Come on, Titan. Azusa. Alright, well, we'll pass it back. You can still top deck Factual Primeval Titan off the top here, and thanks to our Cavern, be able to punch right through our opponent's potential Cryptic Commands or whatnot. Although, there's absolutely no way they're casting Cryptic Command this turn, so... Or Archmage's Charm, for that matter. Very interesting. So I guess we just have to play around Aether Gust or Remand, or perhaps Snap Aether Gust. Or they can just fetch a tapped Triome as well. That works for me. Again, no art. No art for any of these cards except the one that we hate the most. Aether Gust. Classic. That is not a Titan. I think we do need to put this Azusa into play. We can play around Mana Leak by playing out the Growth Chamber here. It does kind of show our hand, but I think it's better than not, so... And I don't think we have a choice but to pick up the Growth Chamber here, in case we draw Tolaria West, so... There's consideration for trying to pick up the Cavern to play around the field, but... I mean, there's not much we can do about that. And we'll pass it back. Losing the mana. Sad to see it, but we are gassed out, as they say. Path. Okay, I mean, certainly. We don't get a basic land here, but maybe our opponent is just doing this because they have another Path to Exile, and there's nothing that we can do here. We'll see. Titan off the top could still be good. We won't be triggering Field of the Dead or anything like that, unfortunately. But we might be able to set up the Transmute. Hour of Promise. Alright, so our opponent's just putting everything they have into play. Double field. Okay, well, let's top deck Titan right now, and maybe we can even kill our opponent. We'll have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 mana, so we can... Oh, wow. Okay, well, we're just drawing all blanks here. Might as well put this amulet into play. Not looking the best here. Not gonna lie. It's just yield to these field triggers. We're gonna yield to our own at some point in time, perhaps. Unfortunately, there's no way that we'll be able to transmute for and play a Dryad after we cast a Titan if we draw one, and still be able to haste our Titan, so we'll have to play a Dryad in the second main phase, it looks like. Sanctuaring back Hour of Promise, huh? Looks like it may not matter. We do have an Explosives in the main board, actually, so if we absolutely had to, we could clean up these tokens with a Transmute for Explosives. I don't know why we aren't just yielded through this turn. This game is looking pretty lost, though. I don't even know how we could come back from this if we did resolve a Titan, so... Let's just cast this Turn Timber Symbiosis, let it get countered, and then go to game 2 here. Leave some blue floating here, I guess. And we miss on the symbiosis. You have got to be kidding me. All right. Well, that seals it up for this game. Wow. That was actually pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, so enough fooling around. We'll bring in the relics and the negates. We'll bring in the Beats Withins for potential Ashioks. And, yeah, I think that's about it. We could bring in explosives to deal with some, like, planeswalkers, like Ren and 6 or something, but I don't think we honestly care about Ren and 6. Let's lose these grazers. They're out of here. I'm not sold that we need 3 copies of Beast Within, but it's whatever. We can maybe trim an Amulet. I do think Amulet is quite good against our opponent, even though they're dead in multiples generally, and we would not like to top deck them. It might be important to have access to one, so we can probably trim the Radiant Fountain here. I guess we have to trim an Amulet, and we can trim a Summoner's Pact, although I don't like trimming very much on Pacts. It's mainly to play around Ashiok. I mean, also, forcing us to tap out the turn after so that we can't follow up a threat with another threat in sequence is pretty annoying, so there's that. One more card. I guess it's just a Turn Timber, because it plays really hard into Mana Leak and Force Negation. I don't mind that. I mean, do we want this main board explosives, though? I'm thinking probably not. Alright. Part of me kind of wants to bring in this Summoner's Pact over the Turn Timber, but I don't know. I think that Turn Timber plays better around Counter Magic. Well, man, we just can't get a keepable hand here. Let's mulligan, I suppose. Alright, this hand has Promise. Yeah, we'll keep this one. Relic to keep some shenanigans involving Uro or Mystic Sanctuary in check. I like it. Explore to stem the time into Dryad. I guess we're putting Crumbling Vestige on the bottom. That feels really bad, because our avenue here is turn 1 Valakut, turn 2 Explore into Tolari West, perhaps. Or we can actually go turn 1 Relic into turn 2 Explore, play the Valakut, and then the turn after we can play Dryad, so it lets us carve out 1, 2, into 3 on time here. But the Tolari West could be our Primeval Titan, so it's kind of rough. Weird. Okay, well, I guess we're bottoming the Tolari West here. We'll find something to play. We'll get this Relic out here. Suppose if our Explorer gets forced or spell snared, then we can't play Dryad on 3, but well, it definitely is not getting spell snared then. And I would actually be pretty glad if our opponent wasted a force on this Explorer. So and there's our Titan that we're expertly redrawing here. All right, well, we'll pass it back. We are 1 short of Titan mana currently. Alright, so there's a Heath. Alright, I think we have to play into a potential Field of Ruin or Cleansing Wildfire. I don't know if this deck plays Wildfire, actually. But I think we just have to jam Dryad here, and for that reason we need to get our Growth Chamber into play, so it might be worthwhile to fetch for a Breeding Pool, naturally to thin our deck. It's very slight, but it's also better than fetching for a basic land. Wonder what our opponent has here. Aether Gust, perhaps? Mana Leak would be pretty atrocious. Aether Gust. Okay. Yeah, let's put that guy on top. I think we're cool with having access to Dryad here. We're definitely not just going to be jamming a Primeval Titan into our opponent's open mana, and it's not guaranteed that we'll draw something that lets us cast Titan this upcoming turn anyway, so might as well do something this upcoming turn while still holding up a Relic activation if we have to. Try to find some more cards here. To be honest, I don't think there's anything else that we'd want to draw that's better than Dryad. I suppose maybe a Cavern of Souls? A main phase, a Growth Spiral, huh? That's pretty desperate. Now I most certainly would have just jammed a Titan if we drew a Garenbrig, but you know what, it's alright, it's alright. So, yeah, let's slam this Dryad. And might as well play out the Vestige, I suppose. Maybe that's... nah, that's fine. That's fine. And I guess before we pass, let's go ahead and exile a card from our opponent's graveyard. They'll probably exile the Spiral, but might as well give them fewer options here. And we can always leave up our Relic during our opponent's turn, at the very least. We might want to pop our Relic here so that we can draw a Cavern, potentially. Have 2 shots at it. Or like a Force of Negation or something. Not Force of Negation, Pact of Negation. Which we do play 1 copy of. Also, I am not putting my opponent on Saheeli Rai. I haven't seen any indication that they're playing that combo. For those of you unaware, Saheeli Rai and Felidar Guardian make an infinite combo similar to Splinter Twin, where they can attack you with infinite Felidar Guardians. But they've played either piece of that combo, so... interesting. Well, let's not fetch, actually, because this fetch can let us trigger Valakut an additional time. Do we want to draw this Dryad? I think we do. And I'm kind of inclined to just go ahead and pop Relic here to permanently exile these Aether Gusts. Our opponent could be holding up a Mana Leak or a Gust here, but I think it's probably correct to jam our to jam our Titan into it. As it's unlikely they have a 3rd Aether Gust. If they have a Mana Leak, it would really suck, but... I mean, otherwise we're potentially jamming a Titan into, like, Cryptic Command and things just as bad as that, so... I think we're gonna go ahead and go for it. And we do draw the Pact of Negation, of course. Wouldn't have it any other way. And now we can fetch for Breeding Pool, knowing that we need to be able to pay for our Pact of Negation, so this is looking pretty good. Our Titan is probably getting, Feel the Dead and something else. If our opponent has an interaction here, then we'll be getting a 2nd blue source to play around field. Remand. Nah, we actually want this Titan in play right now. So it's going to be Feel the Dead and a blue source. I guess Talaria West. Can always yield to our Titan triggers. Yeah, Feel the Dead, T-West. Pretty easy. Pass it back. If we get to attack, then we can set up a bounce land for our Dryad. And bounce land plus Dryad is pretty good on its own, so... In fact, 2nd Valakut plus bounce land is probably pretty much a game here if our opponent can't deal with our Titan. So we'll just have to see. Sanctuary back a Remand? That's interesting. I wonder if our opponent even wants to redraw that. Apparently they do, so... I guess this stops us from just slamming a Dryad and killing them with Valakut. I mean, they're dying to what's on board anyways, though, so Remand doesn't strike me as being particularly good here. And the Mystic Sanctuary ability is a May, so... Like, we can just make our opponent sit with this remand in hand and not even cast anything into it so they don't get the card draw out of it if they don't answer our Titan, so... Yeah, I think maybe putting remand back on top of the Sanctuary was actually a mistake. Although, I suppose we would just be jamming Dryad here anyways, so maybe not. Who can say? In all truth. Should have tapped the Tolaria West instead of the Breeding Pool, but whatever. Bajuka Bog, huh? That's a pretty fantastic one. Again, no reason to play into our opponent's remand. They have to beat what's on board before we even approach casting this Dryad, so... absolutely no reason to do anything else here. Valakut and Balance Land sets up our Dryad, but Vesuva copying Field pushes our advantage a little bit more. Forces them into a board wipe, so I guess Vesuva plus Bounce Land here is most likely to be the best option. We could get Gruul Turf, perhaps. Now let's just get another Growth Chamber. And yeah, we'll do Vesuva. Try to push our advantage as much as possible. And we'll just pick up a Bounce Land here, so we have, as they say, bullets in the chamber, ready to go. Alright, our opponent scoops it up. They see the writing. Okay, well, that was a pretty straightforward game, too, after a pretty straightforward game 1 where we lost, so I'm glad to see that. Still not convinced that Turn Timber is better than Summoner's Pact here, but... I'm not sure. Let's just run it back. Was pretty nice that we spiked the Pact Negation off of the top there. Admittedly, it could have been Pact or one of the 2 Cavernous Souls as well, so we had 3 different hits that were all fantastic in that particular scenario. Can we keep a hand based off of having a Titan with Pact Negation backup? Unclear. This hand really needs a Bounce Land, and as I've previously calculated in other videos, in the first 3 draws, we are less than 50% to hit a Bounce Land, but to be honest, I don't expect our opponent to be putting us under that much pressure, and if they do have an Omnath, we can, like, piece within it, or an Ashiok, so this is a reluctant keep, but I think it is a keep. Scalding Tarn go, huh? Well, let's just, now or never them. Force or Spell Pierce. Otherwise, we have an Amulet. And we have an Amulet. Which admittedly doesn't mean a whole lot, but... regardless. Of course, they get a Triome here. The, Jeskai one. Makes sense. And they followed up with another Triome, the Teamer one. Dryad is a welcome pickup here. Let's go ahead and get our tap land out of the way here. And pass it back. We're on the slow game. It's a game that I'm comfortable with. Now, we're about to approach the question of, do we jam our Dryad into a potential Aether Gust and get time walked? I don't really know. It depends on whether we draw a land here or not. If we draw a Bounce Land or a Garen Brig, then we're certainly probably just jamming... We're certainly just jamming Dryad into an Aether Gust in that scenario because we already have Titan mana lined up. But if we're relying on the top of our deck to provide us Titan mana, it might not be worth exposing the Dryad to the Aether Gust until we know that we have Titan mana set up, so we can make an informed decision on whether we want to put the Titan, the Dryad on top or not. And yet we're still 1 land short of casting Titan. If the Dryad stays in play, then we can transmute our Tolaria West for a Bounce Land. And it would have to be Aether Gust or Remand. We don't play into Archmage's Charm here, which I don't know if they would be playing, but I guess is technically possible. And going forward would be playing into Cryptic Command, so I guess we don't really have a choice, but actually we can Cavern of Souls our Dryad through. I like the sound of that. And we can transmute for a bounce land and pick up the Cavern of Souls to replay it on Titan. And we have Pact Negation to cover Aether Gust, so... Oh, I don't know if we use the uncounterable mana or not. I was not paying attention whatsoever. So if we top deck a land here, then we get an uncounterable Titan this turn. Otherwise, we just transmute for a bounce land and, I guess just go ahead and play it and picking up the Cavern so we can hold up Beast Within during the upcoming turn and just slam Cavern on Giant and just go to town with Titan. Yeah, I guess that's the area that we're heading towards. That Cavern was actually a fantastic top deck. Alright, Jace. Trying to ruin our plans here a little bit. Now let's just top deck Garen Briggs so we can play and haste the Titan and immediately kill Jace after they inevitably bounce our Dryad. If they don't bounce Dryad, then they're playing into so many things. Oof. Jace 0 is... I don't know if I like that at all. Even if we didn't have a Titan that we could resolve here, just 2 lands lets us get a Valakut trigger to kill the Jace. So... that's a really, really sketchy one, in my opinion. I think in this, if you're gonna jam Jace, I think you have to minus on Dryad in this scenario. You're just so behind. Another Titan. Of course, we can't punish them. I guess we can Beast Within the Jace. Man, it's so annoying that we couldn't punish them for that. I think that it was a questionable play, to say the least, but we have no choice but to go for the bounce land here, I think. Five, 6. Yeah, so this should be fine. I'll just get a Growth Chamber. Holding up Beast Within. We could Beast Within right now, so that our opponent has to use a Force of Negation if they have it. We're just picking up Cavern here, so it's no big deal. And I guess we're not playing it so that we don't expose it to a field. I think we do want to Beast Within this Jace immediately, to be honest. If they have the Force Negation, then that's one less card to protect against our Pact Negation, so... I guess we could have attacked for 2 before Beast Withinning, just to put them to 17, but... whatever. We either resolve Titan or we don't, so... So I don't want to jinx anything by saying that we have everything all rolled up here. The Cavern to play around, like Remand plus Aether Gust or something like that, or like double Counterspell. Oh, just jamming Omnath, huh? Okay. This is, of course, one of the namesake cards of this deck. It's a 4/4 that enters the battlefield and draws a card immediately, and Landfall allows them to gain some life, make some mana, and if it's the 3rd land, it does 4 damage to each opponent and each Planeswalker that our opponent does not control. So here they're going to get some mana back, specifically red, white, green, and blue, just as the mana cost of the Omnath here. I'm not sure what they can really do with that during their main phase here that would stop us. I guess playing a Ashiok would be pretty awful. I think if they do play an Ashiok, we might have to Pact Negation it. As weird as that is, I don't know, we'll see. Maybe not, maybe not. We'll just wait. No, they can't play an Ashiok off of it. What am I saying? I'm not sure what our opponent could have here to punish us, because once we resolve this Titan, we're going to be able to immediately haste it. Actually, we might have lethal here, in all honesty. So we get Valakut and Hanweir, and that's going to be 4 triggers since we already have Valakut in play. And then we get another Valakut, i.e. Vesuva copying Valakut, and another land that's 6 more is 10 triggers. I'm pretty sure that's just lethal, right? Yeah. So if our opponent doesn't have something to literally kill us right now, then I can't imagine a world where our opponent survives this upcoming turn. They're not even holding up any mana, so... And they don't use the mana whatsoever. Okay. We'll block. I think it's pretty free. Our opponent is not playing Gutshot. I refuse to believe it. Alright. And the third Titan. Okay. Giant. This time, we'll tap it for the uncounterable mana for sure. Just have to make sure we don't mess up on any of these triggers here. Always yield. Yes. Valakut and Hanweir. Here's the first 4 triggers. We'll save targets, all of them. Stack these 2 amulet triggers, and the rest will go automatically. Always yes. Always yes. Always yield. Always yield the amulets too, because why not? Haste Primeval Titan. Swing with Primeval Titan and Dryad. Actually, let's not swing with Dryad. Yes. Get Vesuva copying Valakut and Bounce Land. We'll get a Rot Farm because it is a differently named land for field going in the future, if we ever get there. This should just be lethal. Yep. We win the match after losing game 1 on a Multi 5. That feels pretty good, must say. I don't really know what happened that last game there. Our opponent just hoped that we didn't have it. I don't know. I mean, I would think that picking up and not replaying the cavern immediately signifies that we're trying to push through a Primeval Titan for sure. So maybe our opponent just made a risky play and got punished for it. I don't know, but regardless, that is all I have for you for this match. I hope that you learned something from this or gained something from this video. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm not saying any more about that. One thing I will say is that this game did show the strength of the Hanweir Battlements build, as if we were playing the Stronghold build, we may not have had enough Valakut triggers to finish the job. I mean, it's possible that we would have been able to get Stronghold and the Boros Garrison and haste our Titan, and then play Boros Garrison again before going to attack phase or something, and getting Sunhome and another Bounce Land to double strike Titan for, what would that be, 16, plus a couple Valakut triggers, and that might have been enough. I mean, they could block with the Omnath, so I don't know. Whatever. Y'all can do the math if you want to there, but just having access to the extra Valakut and that by itself was just a very strong argument for playing this build. The more consistent mana base and the ability to play flex slots such as a second Cavern and a second Valakut. Very nice, very nice. Even when playing 3 copies of Turntimber Symbiosis. So, anyways, like I said, I've done enough in this match. I do think I'll give it a rest. I'll give our opponent a rest. And I will see you guys in the next match. This is Red Face Menace, signing off.